No Credits Rolled.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 16 of No Credits Rolled. My name is Sam Whalen, and I will be your host today, just like I am every time on this wonderful show. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about Gamescom and opening night live and all the cool announcements we got there, and my thoughts on Cult of the Lamb for our review this week. But before we get started, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast. It really helps us out, whatever platform you're on. If you're listening, we appreciate it. And by we, I mean me. We're also on TikTok and YouTube at No Credits Rolled, so check us out there. And, you know, some cool content on those sites if you're into that. But like I said, TikTok, YouTube, No Credits Rolled, anywhere you get your podcasts. Anyway, let's start the show. All right, so Gamescom, Opening Night Live 2024. This is sort of one of the big Jeff Keighley events that we all look forward to throughout the year. It's Summer Games Fest, and it's Game Awards. Those are sort of the three big things we check out. So everybody wants to tune in to see what Jeff's got for us. And, whenever we do these sort of recaps of these big events, at least on this show, I just cover the stuff that I care about. So if you want to go check out the full show, I highly recommend it. You know, I enjoy these big spectacle gaming events, but I will just be covering the things that appeal to me. That being said, there were way more announcements for this show than I was expecting. This one of the big three that Jeff does every year, this is sort of the one you go in with your expectations the lowest, I would say. It's the one that, it's still cool, it's still fun, it's still a big deal, but it's not on the level of a Summer Games Fest or a Game Awards. But there were still some fun announcements. No James Bond game, by the way. I've decided to make that my white whale on this show. Whenever we're going to get IO Interactive's James Bond game, that will be my crowning achievement whenever that game comes out, or whenever we see any of that game. I would just like that game to exist as soon as possible. Anyway, let's get into these announcements. First off, we had Borderlands 4, baby. Yeah, Borderlands 4. After that absolute smash success of a film, what better time to announce a new game? All press is good press, even if your movie is performing terribly and no one likes it. So we got a CGI trailer for Borderlands. It really didn't show a whole lot. It's Borderlands 4. This is the official description. Quote, players will assume the role of legendary Vault Hunter as they blast their way through hordes of enemies in search of new treasures to loot on an all-new planet. That is the description of every Borderlands game, so I really wish they would have put something in there that was a little bit more concrete. It leads me to believe that they might not have a whole lot for this game already. I don't know. I mean, they had the CGI trailer, but I imagine this is pretty early in development. My biggest thing with this Borderlands announcement is how is Borderlands going to play in this current, era of games, right? We've got Destiny that has kind of taken over that looter shooter genre, obviously inspired by Borderlands, but playing Borderlands 3 and playing, what was that D&D one? Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, right? Yeah. My other coworkers here helped me out with that. It just feels dated, right? I mean, it's that looter shooter grind. I think Destiny's kind of perfected that. And it's like playing that in, like I tried to go back into Borderlands 3 recently and it just doesn't hit the same. When I was growing up, Borderlands 2 was like one of my favorite games of all time, but I was also 12. So the humor worked a lot better and I had a lot more time to kill. So I'm hoping with Borderlands 4, they do some kind of big sweeping gameplay change. Whether that is in the pre-sequel, they introduced the zero gravity stuff or the low gravity stuff. I really like that. I like that change up to the gameplay. And they do little things like that with each game. But I think if you're going to make a Borderlands 4, you got to do something to get the people in. And I'm not sure what they're going to do, but I have a feeling we've got quite a bit of time until we see it anyway. So we will have to see if we get any more announcements or footage for that. If they do maybe gameplay or something a little bit more substantial at Game Awards. So I have here just a step up in quality or a big shake up in gameplay is definitely going to be needed. And also the humor. I feel like as a society, we have moved on from Borderlands style humor. And I think now would be a good time to maybe not do those jokes that they did in Borderlands 2. Like, I don't know. I just don't think that stuff lands with audiences anymore. That like zany, lol, so random humor. I just don't think it works anymore. I think that's a very early, like 2010s to like 2015 kind of humor. But that doesn't mean it doesn't, it can still be funny. It can just do funny in different ways. And we'll see what they do with that. But that's Borderlands 4. For all your Borderlands heads out there, I hope you're thrilled. We'll have to see what we get. Next up, we had Mafia: The Old Country. This was a big surprise to me, a new Mafia game. I like the Mafia games. I played 2, 3, and I played the remaster of 1. I think they're all good. They do vary in quality, and people dunk on Mafia 3, but I thought for what it was pretty good. It was very repetitive, but look, it's an open world crime thriller. Not everything can be GTA 5, you know what I mean? And I was not expecting this announcement. This looks like it's going to be a set in like the 1900s, which is cool. It's going to be Hangar 13, which is the same studio that did Mafia 3, and I think they also did the Mafia 1 remake, which, by the way, the Mafia 1 remake, very, very good. Graphically, very impressive. It's like one of the best looking games I've ever played, and it really does a good job capturing, I think that game's set in like the 20s or 30s. It does a really good job capturing that time frame in a way that a lot of games don't really do. We never really get that time period in video games, and that was why one of the reasons I'm so excited for The Old Country is because it's like, I think it's cool that it's a unique setting. It's not like, modern day city or something like that. It's set in the 1900s. The weapons, I'm sure, are going to reflect that. The landscape, I'm assuming it's going to be set in Italy and the surrounding areas, so I'm sure it'll be very pretty. And yeah, I just think Mafia stories are cool. I'm a big fan of them. Godfather, Goodfellas, stuff like that. So getting a game like that, I think I'm hoping the story lives up as well. Again, this was another CGI trailer, so hoping we get more gameplay. At Game Awards, I believe I saw the folks over at Hangar 13 teasing that, so I'm looking forward to gameplay for that. Next up, we got Indiana Jones, baby. Man, they love showing this game. I only have one note. I just said, for the love of God, just release this game. Stop showing it. This time we got a deep dive with Troy Baker, who is voicing Indiana Jones. He kind of gave us a lot of behind the scenes stuff and like another pitch for this game. As if I feel like if you're like, you don't need to be convinced for this game at this point. You're either going to get it or not. If you're an Indiana Jones fan, you're going to get it. I don't think you're going to, grab new people for this IP. But yeah, Indiana Jones coming out on December the 9th, so we are getting that in 2024. And it's also, I don't have the date here, but it is going to release on PS5 sometime next year. I want to say like spring 2025 or something like that. So this is another, Xbox has sort of admitted defeat in this quote-unquote console war that people like to prop up, and they're just trying to make money now by doing these agreements with PlayStation. And I think it's a good idea. I've said it before, the more that people can play games and have access to those games, the better it is for everybody. And it just so happens that it will make Xbox more money too. So looking forward to this still. I'm just kind of tired of seeing this game. We get games like this all the time for these events, right? You'll see the same handful of games over and over and over again. You're like, just put the thing out. Like, I'm tired of seeing it. Or you don't need to see any more. They show too much of it. It's kind of like a movie in that way, where too many trailers can be a bad thing. But yeah, I'm definitely just ready for this one to come out. And I really still hope it's good. I've got high hopes for this. I like the team at Machine Games. I think they've got a pretty decent track record with really just Wolfenstein New Blood being the hiccup. And that obviously was sort of a forced live service co-op mess. But the Wolfenstein games are great. 1 and 2. And what was the other one? Old Blood. Big fan of that. So I'm really looking forward to how they're going to do this, their take on Indiana Jones. So that will be on December the 9th. And then we got some more Black Ops 6, more gameplay. I thought this was a pretty cool trailer. A lot of different kinds of actions. There's some sneaking parts, some vehicle parts, some just straight up shooty murder parts. One thing I noticed in this is that the really good atmosphere, some really brutal kills too. I think it looks a little bit more cinematic and, pretty visually impressive. I'm still looking forward to this. Yeah, I was not expecting to be excited for Call of Duty anytime soon, but all these trailers are really working for me. And I love the original Black Ops. Honestly, all of them were good, but especially 1 and 2, how they dealt with their time periods. And this one, now Black Ops 6 being set in the 90s, I think there's a lot of cool stuff you could do there. Will we be able to play as Bill Clinton? I really hope so. Please give me a Bill Clinton skin in Warzone. I will buy it. But yeah, this is another one where we just keep seeing this game. I know there's Next Fest coming up, and we're going to get full gameplay demos there as well. But at the time of recording, I don't think that started yet. But yeah, more Call of Duty, more Black Ops, and just looking for that one to come out. Looking forward to it when it does. Then another surprise announcement, Dying Light the Beast. So this is a new Dying Light game. The devs, I believe it's Techland, say it is a thrilling standalone zombie adventure set in a tightly crafted rural region. I don't really know what that means. It makes it sound like the map's probably going to be small. So I recently talked about Dying Light 2 on this show. I believe it was last episode, maybe the episode before. And, I praised it, and I still stand by what I said in that episode, but the complaints I had with that game, with the combat being repetitive and everything sort of just, the whole game in general, the loop of the game kind of just being repetitive, I ended up putting the game down, and I didn't finish it, which is good because, no credits rolled. But, it's not a bad game. Dying Light 2 is by no means a bad game. It's just when you hop on and you're doing the same stuff over and over again, eventually it just kind of gets old. So with the Beast, they showed the trailer. It looks like you're going to have some more infected powers, which is cool. That kind of maybe will make it different. It's called the Beast. Does that mean you're the Beast? What is the Beast? The tightly crafted rural region part does make me think it's going to be a smaller map. I hope it's a cool setting, because part of the cool stuff in Dying Light 2 was you do get a similar setting to the first game, but then eventually it opens up and you have like skyscrapers and stuff, which I thought was neat. Curious what they're going to do for the setting in this game. And I believe they're keeping the same protagonist too. Kyle Crane, something like that. I don't know. They didn't call it Dying Light 3, so I'm wondering if it's maybe like a Dying Light 2.5, sort of like a smaller, shorter game. Something like that I could be really interested in, because like playing Dying Light 2 and it's just this sprawling, giant open world map with all these things to collect. Maybe a tighter experience could work for this game and would get me into it to sort of wrap it up in, 10 to 12 hours of gameplay, and we can be done with it. Because you can only, bash in a zombie's head so many times before it's just the same stuff over and over again. But then we had Dune Awakening. I have been curious about gameplay for this game for a while. I don't know if there was gameplay before, but I hadn't seen any. And now we're getting it on the big stage here. We got to see a pretty lengthy trailer for it. So this looks like Rust, basically, but with Dune, which is cool. I never played Rust, but I've played Ark, and that was sort of my experience with these sort of survival online multiplayer games. The biggest thing for me with this Dune Awakening game is the price point. The price point will probably be the determining factor for me if I pick this up. If it's $60, $70, it's probably not going to happen. If it's around $40, $30, that's a little bit more appealing, especially if I want to try to get my friends involved, because these giant online survival games are always more fun with friends. And that's exactly what I have here. If it's cheap or free through it, like if it drops on PS Plus or Games Pass or something, that would be great. I know there already is the Dune, what is it, an RTS or like whatever, Dune Spice Wars is on Games Pass, so maybe there's some sort of licensing agreement there with the Dune, I don't even know what you'd call it, the Dune department. And so maybe we'll get that to drop on Games Pass, although I feel like they probably would have announced that if that was the case. Obviously for me, the biggest appeal for this game is that it is the Dune universe, the Duneverse, existing on Arrakis. They showed building an ornithopter. They showed I think you can join like House Harkonnen because it's like it's a alternate timeline kind of thing. So all that stuff is super cool. But I've always found that games like this are pretty tough to play solo. But if there is more story stuff to it where you can do that streamlined single player experience without, having to go and punch grass or punch trees and rocks to get resources like all these survival games before you get killed by a guy who plays this game all day, that could be kind of a bummer. But if they do offer those more focused quest lines, I could see that being very appealing, especially for people that are just getting into Dune like myself through the movies and sort of working their way backwards with the books. But hey, more Dune is good, I think, no matter what it is. Dune is cool, and I think more people should check it out, whether that's the movies, whether it's the books. It's just cool sci-fi stuff, I'm a sucker for it. So then we had Sid Meier's Civilization 7 I was kind of blown away by this trailer. I've been playing a lot of Civ 6 with my friends, and just seeing this was like such a breath of fresh air because Civ 6 is so ugly. Like the art direction they took for that game, I respect them swinging for it. They tried to do something different after Civ 5. I do not think it was successful. I think Civ 6 is super ugly. It did not age well. But Civ 7 looks like more of a return to form of a more semi-realistic art style, which I think serves the game much better. I'm looking forward to more gameplay. I believe throughout the Gamescom this week and the next week, we're going to be getting more gameplay. That's all. I definitely want to check that out. They also announced Gwendolyn Christie as the narrator, who you would know as Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones or Captain Phasma from the 15 minutes she was in the Star Wars movies. So that's cool. I think she's got a nice voice, and I'm curious to see sort of her level of performance. I mean, sure, well, get a celebrity. That's cool. Why not? So yeah, overall, this just looks like a big improvement from Civ 6. I'm curious what new systems they're going to add, how they're going to. I saw something that says you can like mess with history, which is cool. So maybe there's new systems for that. Looking for more gameplay, and I have one last note here for it. Really hoping this drops on console day and date the same day it comes to PC, because obviously that's where my friends and I play, and I would like to have this on console the same day if possible. Civ is tough on console. Civ 6 is in particularly pretty rough. But I think I'm hoping that even though Sid Meier's has always been a PC forward sort of brand or developer, that they do take the time to make this playable and at least somewhat built for console. My example for this, for the good way to do it, is Baldur's Gate 3. Obviously, that game is a PC RPG at its core, but the way they integrated it onto consoles by taking the extra time after it came out, I think really went a long way and sort of helped that game blow up even more, because you could pick up a controller and it translated the fine detail of a mouse and keyboard pretty well by, the shortcut wheel and things like that. And I really think Civilization needs that, because Civ 6, it's like it's fighting you a lot of the steps of the way. And even, I've played Mountain Blade 2 on console as well, which is also a PC game that got ported over. And in Mountain Blade 2, even just having the ability to click a button and activate a cursor that you can then control with your controller, I think goes a long way. And it kind of blows my mind that Civ 6, to my knowledge, doesn't have that function. You have to, use your left stick to, move over everything. But I think just giving you the ability to give, call up a cursor that you can then hover over things wherever you want in any direction, I think goes a long way. So hopefully even that in Civ 7 would be a big improvement. But yeah, Civ games are a classic, and looking forward to seeing what this one has with it. And then we got Marvel Rivals, baby. I love this game. I have talked to death about it on this show. I did a whole episode on it for the review portion of the show. In my notes, I got to letter X or Y in the notes for bullet points for it. Love this game. Cannot get enough of it. And we got tons of more info for it here at Opening Night Live. So we got new info and a really cool trailer, if you want to go check it out, to announce Winter Soldier and Captain America are coming to the game. And man, they are thick boys. I'll tell you what, you go look at their designs, they look like action figures. Interesting design choices, that's for sure. But Marvel Rivals obviously has a very unique take on all these characters. They've got their own direction in mind when they build these characters for the game, which I like. Everybody's so familiar with the MCU now that that's kind of what you think of when you think of these characters. But I'm definitely open to new designs for them, new ways they're built, and you can definitely see that in Rivals. Like when they did Thor, he's just a huge man. It reminds me of the old comic designs where there's that meme of the Captain America drawing. Is it Rob Liefeld? I don't know. But there's the meme Captain America design where it's a side profile and his chest is ridiculously big. And his head is huge, and it's those superhero proportions taken to the nth degree. So I wonder if that's inspired here by that. But either way, more Marvel Rivals, more characters coming out, and they showed gameplay of Winter Soldier and Cap as well. Winter Soldier kind of looks like Roadhog a little bit. He has a tentacle slam that he did 5 times in a row in the trailer. That looks a little scary. Not really sure how that's going to work. And then we got a release date. December the 6th. So, Rumors were this was going to get pushed to 2025. Super happy we're getting it in 2024. The sooner it comes out, the better. I really think this game is going to blow up, and especially with this other announcement that they did here. They confirmed that all heroes will be free at launch, and that any new heroes added to the game will be free as well. Honestly, this is such a relief for me because I would have spent the money if they weren't. But this is great, and I think this is a great way to keep your game alive. We saw Overwatch try to make heroes locked to the battle pass and things like that, which is one of many bad decisions Blizzard has made with Overwatch that has effectively not killed the game, but the hype surrounding Overwatch 2, they fumbled that bag so hard. And let's be honest, the team at NetEase and Marvel Rivals knows they're going to make infinite money on skins and the battle pass from people like me that will buy that every single time. So they don't need to make people pay for the heroes. The name of the game now is skins and battle passes, and having that Marvel IP, just like I talked about it when I did the closed beta preview, is going to go a long way into getting people into this game and getting people to open up their wallets, myself included. So yeah, December the 6th, super happy for that. This is definitely my most anticipated game of 2024 since they managed to squeeze it in. I can now say that. It's probably like this and then Indiana Jones, just because I'm curious of what Indiana Jones is going to be like, but I already know I like Marvel Rivals, so being able to play that with my friends, I'm very much looking forward to that. So we will check back in on that on December the 6th. Oh, you can also go check out on TikTok, shameless plug once again for the TikTok. I did do a quick little blurb on there for Marvel Rivals when I was able to get in that beta, so go check that out at No Credits Rolled. We got two more announcements here. We had this next one was a huge surprise to me. Prime Video's Secret Level. I had no idea this was in production. I don't know how I missed this. This is just a blurb from Michael McWhirter. I think that's how you say his name, over at Polygon. He said, quote, Secret Level is a new animated anthology series from the creators behind Love, Death, and Robots. It will feature original stories set in the worlds of Armored Core, D&D, Mega Man, Pac-Man, Sifu, Spelunky, The Outer Worlds, Unreal Tournament, Warhammer 40K, and more. I am very, very excited about this. I really enjoyed the first season of Love, Death, and Robots. Didn't watch the rest of it because I kind of just fell off, but it does make me want to dive back into that show. I think anthology series are underrated. I think it's a great way to do storytelling. It's a great way to take ideas and do them in 15 to 30 minute chunks, and you don't have to worry about everything connecting. You don't have to worry about, long form storytelling. You can just do what you got to do and get out. I can't believe this is a real thing, like a video game TV show with all these current properties too. I mean, Armored Core, you've got some classics in there, Pac-Man, Mega Man, which I don't know what the Pac-Man episode's going to be. The trailer's sick. They showed Mega Man a little bit in the trailer, and it looks great. He's grabs his helmet. It's cool. I don't even know anything about Mega Man, but he looks cool. And then, yeah, Pac-Man, they showed Sifu, and it looks just like the game, so that's going to be great. I believe Ghost of Tsushima is in here, too. It wasn't in the quote that I gave, but God of War also, I can't believe it. It blows my mind. There was some speculation that they're going to do a PlayStation episode, so we'll get little bits of Sifu, God of War, and Ghost of Tsushima, but we'll have to see. The Armored Core one, I believe, has Keanu Reeves in it, so, I mean, Cyberpunk, maybe we'll play the clip here, maybe not. Looking forward to this. And also, if you go watch the Open Night Live, the guy who came up, I don't remember his name, but he was from the team, and he got very emotional announcing this because they've been working on it for so long. And it was just, a nice little human moment there. That guy really sort of bearing his heart for the crowd, and the crowd responding, cheering him on. And I don't know, it warmed my cold, dead heart, I'll be honest. But yeah, Secret Level. Looking forward to that, and still can't believe that is real. We have one final thing here, and I probably should have moved it because it's super underwhelming. I just wrote Starfield, more like Carfield, because they announced a free update for Starfield, adding a rover so that you can explore the giant open planets with nothing on them just a little bit faster. It was like a 20 gig update, but hey, it was free. All right, and the car does look cool. And it looks like you can customize it and make it different colors, which is fine. I'll be honest, I have fallen off of Starfield. It is taking up like 130 gigs on my Xbox though, so maybe I'll jump back in, test out this update. For all the praise I've given Starfield, that is one of the things that is still lacking, is that when you land on a planet, 9 times out of 10, it is just a wasteland, a flat wasteland with nothing going on except for the couple landmarks that you have to go to for your mission. So having a car to, skirt around that is nice. And I'm curious how the car is going to handle, how it's going to feel. I can't think of an example where Bethesda has done vehicles before, but I'm also not like a Bethesda expert. I'm trying to think of like the Fallout games, and I don't think they had anything in there that wasn't, a fan-made mod. So curious how this car is going to feel. I will check it out probably in the next couple weeks when I have some time. They also tease more stuff for, Shattered Space, the upcoming DLC. So maybe that's when I will jump back in. But yeah, I mean, it's good to see they're still supporting this game. Got dogged on at launch, by myself included. A lot of people have come around on it, again, myself included, with updates and patches and things like that. And it's good to see that they are still actively working on this game and trying to keep it alive as best they can. I still think you should go check it out, especially if you're a sci-fi fan. It's still got merit to it, even though with all its issues, I still think it's a game worth playing. So that's Starfield and the update. So that's all we got for Gamescom Opening Night Live. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to share my thoughts on Cult of the Lamb. You're listening to No Credits Rolled. All right, and we're back on No Credits Rolled. Today we're talking about Cult of the Lamb. This is a roguelite from Massive Monster, published by Devolver Digital. This game was huge when it came out, but I'm now just getting my hands on it. I've definitely been wanting to play it, but I knew that if I bought it, it would immediately become free, because that happens to me all the time. And sure enough, I waited for this game, and I got it through GameFly, which I didn't even know they did physical releases of this game, but they did. And when the second it came from GameFly, PlayStation announced new games added to their catalog, and Cult of the Lamb was one of them. So I was able to immediately send the disc back and play it digitally. But I'm just, I'm constantly fighting against the forces of the universe that conspire against me, and we'll count this one as a win. But yes, the roguelite from Massive Monster. So this is sort of a, it's a twofer, right? You've got super cute animals on one hand. You also have demons and blood and gore and Cthulhu, and you're starting a cult and you're sacrificing people on the other hand. So it's a fun contrast. But I have been absolutely addicted to this game since I got my hands on it. I've had multiple nights staying up till like 1 a.m. playing it. And it's one of those games, like a lot of really good roguelites, where it's like, I just want to do one more thing. Let me do one more run, or let me build this one more thing, or get this one more resource. And before you know it, the sun's coming up and, you don't even know where you are anymore. This game does the roguelite formula perfectly. There are sort of two sides of the gameplay. First, you've got your combat, which is where you're running through different dungeons and you're attempting to defeat these 4 demon lords while getting different weapons and buffs and just resources in general. For the other half of the game, which is managing your cult and managing your base. You want to keep your followers happy, but you also want to expand your power it's essentially the leveling system. There's a couple different leveling systems in the game where you can use faith as sort of a currency. And it's a little overwhelming at first, but I think the game does a good job of introducing it in phases and in steps, that by the time you've got everything, all the plates spinning at the same time, you really have a good handle on everything that's going on. And in terms of the combat, I mean, it's classic roguelite stuff, right? You're starting with random weapons. As you go on, you can pick which path you want to go, which the next dungeon is. Then you can pick your buffs as well. So you can kind of craft your own run as you go. You can say, hey, this time we're going to do a poison run where I'm going to pick all the abilities that benefit my poison weapons. Or this time I'm going to do a no-hit run where I choose to do more damage but also take more damage. And it's like, if you've played Hades, if you've played, what's that one? Dead Cells, all games that I love, it's right up that alley. If you're into any of those games, those type of games, those roguelite classics, you're going to love this game too. As for the gameplay systems, they intertwine very well, and that's kind of what makes the game so hard to put down. There's always one more thing you can do, whether that be do another dungeon run, whether that be you can do daily sermons, which is sort of how you harvest the faith from your followers. and you can level up your cult skills that way. So there's always something to do, which I just find extremely addictive. The music is incredible in this game. It really hit for me. It's a big standout. It's sort of like lo-fi music, which I already love, mixed with like creepy choral choirs to give it the sort of uneasiness. And it fits the game very well because the game overall, even the loading screen, if you sit there long enough, it'll do a color inversion flash thing, and it's like, whoa, that's a little spooky. And there's a lot of little things like that where it's like, yes, these are cute animals, and yes, this isn't really meant to be a horror game, but like there is some like unsettling stuff with how they do the audio, and there's like a weird Simlish language that everybody speaks, but I think it takes the ideas of like cults and devil worship and integrates them really well into gameplay. The art style is absolutely incredible. It's got a clear and distinct voice throughout the entire game that I think when a game has it, I mentioned it a little bit with Marvel Rivals, I think it can really, really carry a game and really make it great. And that's exactly what Cult of the Lamb does here. You know, it's sort of like a top-down view, but then also it's almost like a stage set. Like, what was that one Mario game where it was like a play where everything was sort of flat in view? It's kind of like that. Where you can move around in the dungeon areas, but then if you look on the background and on the sides where you can't go, that's all still fleshed out with stuff depending on the area you're in. The one I'm in now currently is underwater themed because it's like the deep Cthulhu demon lord, but each one has its own theme to it, and those themes are reflected in the different dungeons you go through. So it's really, really cool looking. If you look up gameplay, even the cover of the game, I think, is just done so creatively. And really just this game is just clicking with me on every single level. The animals are all cute. I think I already said that. The design, you can like change, when you get a new cult member, you can change what they look like, or you can hit random. So there's a ton of different customization options. There's lots of ways you can decorate your base too, if you so choose to do that. A lot of resource management, which is fun. And then, you do have to make hard calls sometimes, right? Like if you can get a certain sickness level where cult members will get sick, and if you don't deal with that by curing them or sacrificing them to the gods, they can spread that sickness. So your cult members will also die of old age after a certain amount of time, and you've got to bury them and deal with the bodies. You can cut them up and eat them, which automatically makes this game a 10 out of 10 for me. Big fan of cannibalism. And so it's things like that where like having to make the tough call where it's like, oh, I've had this follower since like day one, and now he's gonna die of old age, and I got to do something with his body. And you're constantly getting new followers and things like that, so the cycle is continuous. But sometimes, I had a deer and I named him Antlertonia, which is not funny at all. But he died, and I had to bury him, and it was very, very sad because he was like my first follower. But he's buried in the grass now because you can dig little grave plots, and you can dig up the bodies anytime you want to, just for fun. I don't really know why you do that. Maybe there's a thing I don't have unlocked yet, but there's a lot of little details like that really show how much this team cared and how much effort they put in. Of course, now playing this game, I understand why it was praised so much upon release. I mean, this game is absolutely incredible. Might be now my favorite roguelite. I was a big Dead Cells fan for a while. And this might be taking the cake. It nails every single aspect of gameplay, game design, right? Music, art, gameplay, progression. I just think it knocks everything out of the park. I'm through 3 of the initial 4 areas, but I don't want this game to end. I'm hoping. I picked up the DLC yesterday for it. It looks like there is one that is content. Most of it is cosmetics for your followers and things like that, but it looks like they did do some sort of other game mode that's like a pilgrim mode that I'm going to check out after I beat the main game. And I'm thinking about even going for the platinum too, which I never care about the platinum for games. I find them annoying to get, and I really don't find it that satisfying to get a platinum. And I definitely don't want to spend the time to do it. But I'm loving this game so much, and I want to sort of squeeze every drop out of it that I might shoot for, depending on how difficult it is. We'll have to wait and see. But the game also recently introduced local co-op, and that's cool. Couch co-op is always nice to see nowadays when, even Lego games, Lego games are one of the last bastions of couch co-op. But oftentimes it's either online co-op only or couch co-op only. So I think that's a cool addition, and it's a great way to get a friend in if you have someone you want to introduce this game to. I'm not sure if the gameplay changes with co-op at all, but hey, it's a fun addition, and it was a free update, so that's always good to see. But yeah, this is another one of those games where whenever I have a free moment, I pop in and I check on my cult, I check on, my base, I do a quick dungeon run, something. And I just can't put the thing down. So, and like I said, it is now out on the PS Plus catalog. If you do have the middle tier of PlayStation Plus, you can go and check this game out. Highly recommend it. Cannot recommend it enough. So go check it out. But that's all we got for episode 16 of No Credits Rolled. Thank you so much for listening. You, of course, can email questions and comments to nocreditsrolled@gmail.com. We did have a phone line, but that got turned off because nobody called, so you can't call that number anymore. Make sure to subscribe to No Credits Rolled on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Anywhere you get your podcasts, we will be there for you. And, of course, if you're feeling generous, you can always check out the Patreon. But, hey, that's all I got. I'll see you next time on No Credits Rolled.